I'm Brett Johnson. Look for sunny skies today with a high near 55, tonight clear with a low around 33, and Saturday sunny with a high around 57. And make sure you go on our Facebook page and interact with one of our Sexy Liberal posts. If you do, you'll be entered into our Wheel of Destiny drawing, where you'll have a chance to win a pair of tickets to both our Sexy Liberal pre-party and the Sexy Liberal show. We'll do our Wheel of Destiny drawing today during the 4 o'clock hour. Again, go to AM 950's Facebook page.
Portions of the following program may be pre-recorded.
AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. You're listening to the Matt McNeil Show. I'm not Matt McNeil. I'm Todd Mickelson, sitting in on the Matt McNeil Show. And you may be listening to us also on WCPT 820 in Chicago later on tonight, except like we explained, it's not later on tonight to you. It's later on tonight to me and Brett. But to you, it's going to feel like right now. And we can't do the math on how that works. So I don't know. Yeah,
Podcasting makes it more confusing, too, as we talked about yesterday.
Right, yeah. Podcasts can happen at any time, but when you're listening to that podcast, it's right now. So I don't know. The space and time continuum has definitely been broken by all of this new technology. And I think that's very interesting and fun. I think the world could use a change like that. Wow. So again, stuff happened late yesterday afternoon. I think some information came out. I believe it was while we were on the air yesterday. Going to talk about that in a moment, but I do want to report that I had my windows down today when I drove here in Minnesota. So that was kind of fun.
Like it's February again.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Mid-February when we had even warmer weather than now. So global warming is a horrible thing, but there are some of us in Minnesota who are, at least making the best of it by enjoying the fact that we had a half a week of 70-degree weather in February. Now, I don't know, though, Brett, I kind of missed the snow this year. We had 2 snowstorms, basically, and then the snow would immediately melt. If you're going to have winter, then have snow. Did you miss the snow or did you not miss the snow?
Yeah, I kind of missed the snow. I mean, if I wanted to have a northern Missouri / southern Iowa winter, I would live there. But we don't need that in Minnesota. We want a Minnesota winter.
Yeah, I lived in Dallas for a year many years ago, and it was the worst winter ever. And you would think, oh, Dallas would be nice in winter. No, it was just it's really wet and rainy and like 48 degrees. So compared to Minnesota, quite warm, but just miserable all the time. I would rather have it be cold and snowy. But, anyway, this winter was more like a Dallas winter. But we didn't have rain, though. That's a huge problem with global warming. We're way, way, way short on water. Not enough snow to melt into the aquifers. So everywhere is suffering from global warming. I do want to talk about, what was Trump doing today? We're going to talk a lot about Trump, of course, and the problems he's having, because there's a brand new one that we just found out about, like I said, yesterday afternoon. I don't know what Trump was doing today. Was he playing golf? Was he, I know one thing. He was on the Hugh Hewitt show. I don't know if that was last night or today. And Hugh Hewitt said, so do you want to debate Joe Biden? And he's like, he didn't say yes or no. He just said, I don't know. You could tell that that white powdery stuff that it turned out to be cocaine. Cocaine is what they call it, cocaine in the White House. I don't know. I think, he was definitely hopped up on something during that speech, and the speech was horrible. So he's saying, wow, he was very energetic during the speech, but I'm sorry to say that the speech was still horrible, but he was at least, he performed well, which means he was doing cocaine. An 80-year-old man doing cocaine before the State of the Union speech, right? So it sounds like
I'm afraid to have a debate with him because he's just going to be all hopped up on they call it cocaine. He's going to be all hopped up, and how can I work with that? I'm going to lose because it's going to be rigged because he's going to be all hopped up on what they call cocaine.
So that's one thing that he was doing today or last night or whatever. Hugh Hewitt was even floored. Hugh Hewitt, who's just totally sold out to Trump. Hugh Hewitt is not that. Hugh Hewitt's more of a regular, or at least used to be, a regular conservative Republican. Never liked him. Totally disagree with him, but he was never a MAGAT. But now he's, because he wants to do a podcast or whatever show he has, he's totally sold out to being a MAGAT. But what Joe Biden was doing today was surveying the bridge collapse in, sorry about that. My S's are sounding like whistles. Are you doing that? Is that a special effect you have on me?
I don't quite have that filter on, no.
Okay. My apologies. I'll try and change the way I do my S's. Yeah, that was better. Okay, but then it went back. Anyway.
At least don't have the S's where you whistle like when you're missing a tooth. Yeah.
Yes. So Joe Biden was surveying the bridge collapse in Baltimore, and now I can't unhear it. But and one thing that he did was he has talked some of the biggest companies into pledging that they're not going to lay off, even temporarily, workers in the Baltimore area around that port, because it's a really major port. I think it's the third or fourth largest or most busy port in the country. And they're worried about jobs being lost, or at least temporarily lost, because they can't do business in the port because the bridge is blocking most of the port. So he got, like Amazon and really large companies to promise that they're not going to interrupt any of their employment. And he is urging all companies in the area to do the same. And that's something that, I don't know, a president of the United States might do. Imagine if this bridge collapsed and Trump was president. What would it be like?
A total woke bridge. The bridge woke Baltimore. We all know DEI. They called it DEI is what got the mayor here.
Although the mayor was actually duly elected.
But he's a DEI guy, and it's because of that and all the other woke policies here in this blue town that's what makes bridges fall down. Believe me, I built a lot of stuff, and I know what makes it fall down, and it's woke policies.
I mean, that's what we would be hearing if this bridge had fallen when Trump was president. Imagine Trump being president for the last 3 years and now having this bridge fall. Ugh. So that should motivate you to vote in November. But so I mentioned what happened late yesterday, and we're finding out that this whole bond. So I have a friend who was so disappointed and pissed off, I think I can say on the radio, and he called me right away in the morning. This would be last Monday, almost 2 weeks ago now, right when the announcement was made about this $175 million, that the appellate court said, okay, no, you don't have to pay the whole 450 or 64 million. You can take another 10 days to find somebody to put up a bond for 175 million. My friend called and said, I just can't take it anymore. I think I'm going to become a MAGAT. If I'm sick of being against Trump and being disappointed practically every day because he pulls something out of his, I'm trying to think of a word I can say, tuchus. I can say tuchus, okay. Pulls something out of his tuchus to get himself, another 10 days or whatever. And so he said, It would just be so much easier. They got the buttons, they got the pins, they got the hats, they got the flags. They get to go to these rallies and be together. It looks like it would be fun. And I said, that's actually a good point. It's kind of like, re-becoming a 5-year-old and going to an amusement park, It's basically what the Moggots are. And that sounds fun. And then shortly after that, we found out that the court hearing, the trial, the Stormy Daniels trial, was definitely going to continue to be scheduled on the 15th of April, which was then good news. So I texted that to my friend, and he texted back and said, no, it's too late. I already got my MAGA hat. So we lost a good person to the other side. I know he's still going to vote for Biden, but he's got a MAGA hat now. One of my best friends. I don't know. So that's what happens sometimes. But we're finding out now, as of yesterday, that $175 million loan might be a complete farce. And actually, the guy who's responsible mostly for putting that bond up probably committed fraud and might be getting in trouble for that in the future sometime. But even without him getting in trouble for fraud, when they first put up the bond last Monday, they didn't issue enough information. For instance, the company that put up the bond didn't put any of their financials in the putting forth of the bond. And you have to do that according to New York law. You have to prove that you are an actual entity and that you actually have the money to put up the bond. You can't just say, oh, hey, I'm Todd. I'm putting up Brett's bond. He said he needed $175 million. So yeah, I'm Todd. Here's my license. It's got my picture on it. And I'll pay it. I'll put it up. I got him covered. Okay. So do what he wants. Tell the judge to screw off and I'll put up the money. And then I leave the room and they say, okay, no, that's not how it works. As we're finding out. And we've got very interesting numbers. I'm going to go through kind of the details of what the whole problem is here. But Letitia James has already put up she's calling it, basically. She's saying, hey, this ain't working. So we need to reevaluate. You need to prove this and prove that. The judge now has called a hearing, I believe on the 24th, to go through all of this. So when we come back from a break, we'll go through those details. You're listening to AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. Todd Mickelson sitting in on the Matt McNeil Show. We'll be right back.
I've seen trouble on my day.
Get ready to party before Stephanie Miller's Sexy Liberal Tour on April 13th. Join us at AM 950 Sexy Liberal pre-party at On the Rocks, conveniently located above the Nicollet Diner at the end of Nicollet Mall. It's the perfect spot to mingle with your fellow Sexy Liberal fans and some of your favorite AM 950 hosts. Our pre-party is from 4:30 until 7 o'clock. Enjoy the delightful patio at On the Rocks, weather permitting. Admission is just $35 and includes light appetizers and 2 drink tickets. Again, that's our Sexy Liberal pre-party, April 13th from 4:30 till 7 o'clock at On the Rocks. Pre-party tickets are available for purchase at am950radio.com. But that's not all. Let's talk more about the main event. Keep an eye on our Facebook pages for posts about the Sexy Liberal Show. Engage with these posts for a chance to win a pair of tickets to both our pre-party and the main Sexy Liberal Show. Winners will be announced during Matt McNeil's show on Friday, so stay tuned. And if you want to guarantee your spot at the Sexy Liberal Show, secure your tickets in advance by finding the ticket link at am950radio.com.
This is Chad, owner of AM 950. After the hailstorm last year, we had a number of people stop by the station letting us know we had damage. That's when I called our trusted contractor, Snap Construction. Turns out we didn't have any damage and our roof was still in good health. Ryan, is it common to hear you have damage when you don't?
Chad, this can happen more times than not. At Snap Construction, we'll give you a thorough assessment and let you know the condition of your roof. We are trusted by a number of insurance agents in the metro to give them just that, an honest assessment. Last year's storm is just starting to reveal damage on homes that didn't show damage last year. If you were in the path of a storm and were denied, it's worth an extra look. Freezing, thawing conditions and spring rains will wash away the damaged granules that are covering up damage from last year's storm.
Call Snap Construction, arguably the most well-reviewed exterior contractor in the metro area, at 612-333-SNAP, or find them online at snapconstruction.com.
Connections Radio Show is all about tapping into our hardwired hunger to connect. We examine meaningful connections to ourselves, our community, and the world around us. By opening the door to innovative insights by a wide variety of interesting guests, we'll make the connections to something bigger than ourselves. Join me, Lori Fitz, your host of Connections Radio Show, and together we'll make the connections. Saturday mornings at 9 a.m. on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
We are back and bigger than ever, baby. You're invited to Stephanie Miller's Sexy Liberal Save the World Tour. It's the comedy event of the year, and it's coming to a city near you. Join Stephanie with Sexy Liberals, Hal Sparks, John Fugelsang, and comedy duo Frangela for a hilarious ride as they heroically deconstruct the unfolding events of 2024 with an up-to-the-minute, side-splitting evening of comedy. Get your tickets now. Live at the Pantages in Minneapolis, April 13th. Tickets on sale now at Ticketmaster.com.
AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. Todd Mickelson sitting in on the Matt McNeil Show. And we're calling this segment, I can't decide on the title, which one is better, Billionaire Math Never Maths, or Something Seems Pretty Hanky Around Here. I don't know. What do you vote for?
Oh, let's go with Something Sounds Pretty Hanky Around Here.
All right. I agree. The reason we're calling it that is because the guy who is the CEO of the parent company of the company who put up Trump's bond is named Don Hankey. Actually, yes. How do we have all these cartoonish names also linked with Donald Trump? He's also a Trump supporter. He's also part of Axis Bank, which is tied to another story I hope to talk about, dealing with the Truth Social Trump media mess. They got bailed out in 2021. That is also under investigation, because it looks like there's a lot of problems with that. That ties in a lot with Russia. But right now, we're talking about the bonding company called Knight Specialty Company. And so they had their second chance of putting up the bond, and they included their financials, but it has a lot of other things like other liabilities. $33,546,000. Normally, you would list those liabilities, and they would then add up to $33 million. That's what New York wants to see. That's what the court wants to see. They don't. I mean, other liabilities. $33.5 million. What do you mean? What are those? You need to know details. They learn unearned premiums, $20 million, reserved for claims and claims expense, $39.5 million. Of course, again, you would have a list of those claims normally. Funds held under reinsurance treaties, $300 million. So anyway, their liabilities add up to $400,842,000, or $400,842,000. And then they talk about some other things. So anyway, it comes down to that they're saying that they have $539,284,000 and some dollars, but their liabilities add up to more than $400 million. So actually, what they have is $138 million. Now, the bond they're putting up is $175 million. the math isn't mathing. And this is what happens when billionaires, not all billionaires, but a lot of billionaires who seem hanky, shady billionaires, when they talk about the details of their money, it makes no sense. This is why Donald Trump got in trouble for fraud in New York, because when it was actually scrutinized, I mean, for decades, he was just Donald Trump. Everyone thought he was a clown. Nobody cared. And then he became president, and we noticed that he doesn't want to show us his taxes and things like that. Why don't you want to show us your taxes, Don? And it's because his taxes would reveal fraud. And then when he's actually brought up on fraud charges and he has to produce all of his financials and have somebody actually scrutinize them, the math doesn't math. He's got, literally, he's got incorrect arithmetic going on. And, what are you doing? What are you doing? So they knew then that when they put these financials up, that the math wouldn't math. They're like, uh-oh, we clearly don't have enough money here to put up the bond. So then they say, oh, well, actually, that's being covered by this other company, the parent company, Knight Insurance Company, who's worth $2 billion. But of course, when they do the math there, it comes to way less than $2 billion. It comes to $1 billion. And there's still trouble with the math. So, and this company is not licensed to do this in New York. But the president of the company writes a letter and says, oh, we don't have to stick to New York rules because we're not in New York. So if I have a company and I'm doing business in New York, I can't break any New York laws, even though I'm located in Minnesota. I can't just say, oh, well, it's legal to kill people in Minnesota, so I killed some people in New York, but I shouldn't be held liable for that because I don't live in New York. No, but you were in New York and you killed people, and we don't allow people to kill people in New York. Yeah, but I don't live in New York. I mean, is that an argument you can make? And I think what you're saying to yourself right now is, no, that's not an argument you can make. Because you're a sensible person. So they're breaking the rules. This company, the parent company, is not allowed to put up a bond in New York because they don't have the proper credentials. They have not, signed up to do it. And again, in their financials, it's still unearned premiums. Okay, what are those unearned premiums? Funds held under reinsurance treaties. Okay, maybe that makes some sense. Note payable, other liabilities. Okay, what are those other liabilities? Are some of those other liabilities that you owe Tony Soprano $1 million? We need to know that. Other liabilities could also be breaking the law in New York. So it's just not working out. So now Letitia James has basically said, no, this is complete. Can I say BS on the radio, Brett? Okay. This is complete BS. And now it has led to Judge Engoron saying, yeah, this is complete BS. We need to have a hearing about this. So Letitia James said, okay, you got 10 days again now. I'm super pissed off that I have to give you another 10 days. because that means your delay tactics are working. But if you don't come up with the proper way of doing this bond and prove that the company putting up the bond can handle it, then I'm going to start taking your buildings again. Okay, we're going to take a break and come back and talk more about this. You're listening to AM 950, the Progressive Voice of Minnesota, the Matt McNeil Show. We'll be right back.
Turn to Auto Technical with your vehicle donation. Even though Auto Technical is a small nonprofit, we have helped more families with transportation than any organization in Minnesota. Since '94, we have reconditioned donated vehicles so they have a higher tax benefit. Call Richard at 612-919-5526, 612-919-5526, or autotech.org.
Standing Up to the Hatriots, the David Pakman Show, weekdays at 2 p.m. on AM 950 KTNF St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul, the Progressive Voice of Minnesota.
Hello, AM 950 listener. I know you. You take the news seriously. When you read the headlines these days, it makes you want to hang your head down and cry. Well, to hell with that. What you need is a laugh from the left. So, do yourself a favor. Listen to Facepalm America with host Beowulf Rockland every Sunday night at 9.
Get ready to party before Stephanie Miller's Sexy Liberal Tour on April 13th. Join us at AM 950's Sexy Liberal pre-party at On the Rocks, conveniently located above the Nicollet Diner at the end of Nicollet Mall. It's the perfect spot to mingle with your fellow Sexy Liberal fans and some of your favorite AM 950 hosts. Our pre-party is from 4:30 until 7 o'clock. Enjoy the delightful patio at On the Rocks, weather permitting. Admission is just $35 and includes light appetizers and 2 drink tickets. Again, that's our Sexy Liberal pre-party, April 13th from 4:30 till 7 o'clock at On the Rocks. Pre-party tickets are available for purchase at am950radio.com. But that's not all. Let's talk more about the main event. Keep an eye on our Facebook pages for posts about the Sexy Liberal Show. Engage with these posts for a chance to win a pair of tickets to both our pre-party and the main Sexy Liberal Show. Winners will be announced during Matt McNeil's show on Friday, so stay tuned. And if you want to guarantee your spot at the Sexy Liberal Show, secure your tickets in advance by finding the ticket link at am950radio.com.
You're listening to AM 950, the Progressive Voice of Minnesota.
This is Andy Otto, your host of Twin Cities Pride Amplified, inviting you to join us this Saturday at 3 p.m. as we talk to Suzanne Bloom Gunderson and Eric Cottrell from Stonewall Sports Twin Cities. We'll talk about what Stonewall Sports has been up to, like their tournament coming up here in the Twin Cities. Also, why staying active and social is so vital in our community. Please join us this Saturday at 3 p.m. right here on AM 950, the Progressive Voice of Minnesota.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for sunny skies today with a high near 55, tonight clear with a low around 33, and Saturday sunny with a high around 57. And make sure you go on our Facebook page and interact with one of our Sexy Liberal posts. If you do, you'll be entered into our Wheel of Destiny drawing, where you'll have a chance to win a pair of tickets to both our Sexy Liberal pre-party and the Sexy Liberal Show. We'll do our Wheel of Destiny drawing today during the 4 o'clock hour. Again, go to AM 950's Facebook page.
You gotta show up if we're gonna blow up. Come and hold your torches in the sky until we light up, no matter what they told us.
AM 950, the Progressive Voice of Minnesota. Todd Mickelson sitting in on the Matt McNeil Show, and we've got Brett on the board. How you doing, Brett?
I'm all right over here. How about you?
Good, doing good. Yeah, we're talking about why it's so hanky. What's so hanky? There's a whole lot of hanky going on. Whole lot of hanky going on in the barn. Who's the barn? My barn. I know nobody knows that song or knows what I'm referring to, but it's hilarious and it's a real song. So we were talking about now that there's going to be a hearing. Part of the reason is because Don Hankey went on CNN to talk about how the deal came together for him to pay the $175 million bond. Now, everyone knows that he's a Trump supporter. He's put a lot of money into Trump in many different ways, apparently, and other Republicans. He's obviously a Republican, but he's trying to say, no, I give money to everybody. You know, I'm a businessman. I'm not a Republican. I'm a businessman. Yeah, okay. So then he said, well, no, Trump put up the cash to cover it. And so then he proved that he had enough cash. So then I put up the cash. And then he was asked, so do you know the source of Trump's cash? Because so Trump's cash is collateral. He said, no, he didn't put up a building for collateral. He put up cash for collateral. So I agreed to put up the cash for the actual bond. Now, the reason that would happen, you kind of think, okay, well, if Trump has the cash, why doesn't he just put up the cash? Well, Trump can use his cash to keep in a bank and earn interest, or he can use his cash to invest in other ways so that that cash makes more cash. This frees Trump up to keep using his own cash to try and make more cash. But then the bond company is saying, okay, well, we will pay your bond because you have proven that you can pay us back through cash collateral. So then he was asked, do you know where Trump got that cash collateral? And Don Hankey said, oh, no, I don't know where he got it. And that is violating an anti-money laundering law in New York. It's called Know Your Customer. It's referred to as Know Your Customer laws. And it's basically making sure that money's not being laundered. And it's also making sure that, say, Donald Trump got his cash from Tony Soprano, and Tony Soprano is going to break everyone's legs if he doesn't get his money back in 2 weeks. And that's why these laws exist. So the judge said, all right, we need to have a hearing. And now there's a lot to iron out in that hearing. And I believe that he scheduled that hearing for the 24th of April. It just so happens Donald Trump is going to be in town, sitting in a courtroom, I don't know, possibly in the same building. Will Donald Trump be called as a witness to now this hearing about,
well, what the F? What's going on with Don Hankey? What's going on?
And of course, Don Hankey will probably be called in as a witness. And when he says, I don't know where Trump got his cash collateral, he's going to be admitting then under oath that he committed a crime in New York. This has really turned into a huge mess. Like everything Trump does. Right? I mean, everything Trump this is, I don't know, I kind of got back into watching The Sopranos again. It is an absolutely superb show, and I consider it primarily a comedy, by the way, if you haven't seen it, because it is hilarious. But, there's a friend of Tony's who's the father of a friend of his daughter's, and he's got a gambling problem. And Tony has this big, secret card game that even Frank Sinatra Jr. is in this card game. I think later on in the series, David Lee Roth is in this card game. But he has a really high stakes card game. And this friend of Tony Soprano's finds out about it, shows up. Tony's like,
no, this is not your kind of game. This is not the kind of game you want to get into.
That sounded too much like Trump. I can't separate them anymore. But it's kind of funny how Trump sounds a little bit like Tony Soprano. So anyway, the guy talks his way in. Soprano gives him a spot of like $50,000. And then the guy is winning. And then Tony takes a nap. And then the guy starts losing. And by the time Tony wakes up from his nap, he finds out that one of his assistants spotted the guy like another $100,000. So now this guy is in hock to Tony Soprano for like $150,000, even though they're friends. And this guy owns a sporting goods store. And Tony Soprano and his crew basically takes over the sporting goods store, sells everything at lower prices, selling like coolers and tents and stuff, and runs the guy out of business. Completely runs the guy out of business. The guy tries to commit suicide in the show even. He ends up getting a divorce. It sounds like what's going on behind the scenes with everything Trump does. So now we learn about his SPAC company. SPAC investors have confessed they've pleaded guilty to insider trading. Now, this actually went on a couple years ago. But it's a SPAC is a large company that says, okay, we're going to find, we have tons of money. We have a bunch of investors who put up tons of money, and we're going to find a company to invest in. But they are not allowed to say who they're looking at even, because that could affect trading on Wall Street. So it is against the law for this SPAC company to reveal who they're considering buying, basically, or merging with. But it got out back in 2022, I think, maybe even 2021. And they got busted for that. And these investors who I guess leaked it, they said, well, okay, yeah, we knew that we were looking at this Trump media thing, and they made tons of money on it. But it's complicated, and I mean it's really complicated. The whole insider trading thing is really complicated. But they pleaded guilty to insider trading way back then, and the guys who actually came up with the whole idea for the Trump media company and then Truth Social, they're suing Donald Trump because Donald Trump is going to tank all of the stocks. So they're suing him so he doesn't do that. That's another complicated story where Donald Trump owns like 65% of the company or something like that. And when they actually go public, he can cash in all of that, and the whole thing will tumble down. And these two guys who came up with the idea and own stock in it and were hoping to make money on it would lose all their money and go broke. So they're suing Donald Trump, trying to get this all to not happen. So then Donald Trump got mad at them and is suing them back. There's another group, too, that he's suing. But anyway, I'm going to read a little bit here. Trump media almost did not make it to the merger after regulators opened a securities investigation into the merger in 2021 and caused the company to burn through cash at an extraordinary rate as it waited to get the green light for its stock market debut. The situation led Trump media to take emergency loans, including from an entity called ES Family Trust, which opened an account with Paxum Bank, a small bank registered in the Caribbean island of Dominica that is best known for providing financial services to the porn industry. Through leaked documents, The Guardian, that's what I'm reading from here, a story from The Guardian. Through leaked documents, The Guardian has learned that ES Family Trust operated like a shell company for a Russian-American businessman named Anton Postelnov, who co-owns Paxum Bank and has been a subject of a years-long joint federal criminal investigation by the FBI and the Department of Homeland Security into the Trump media merger. The existence of the trust has previously been reported by The Guardian and The Washington Post. However, who controlled the account, how the trust was connected to Paxum Bank, and how the money had been funneled through the trust to Trump media was unknown. The new details about the trust are drawn from documents including Paxum Bank records showing Postelnov, the Russian guy, having access to the trust's account, the papers that created the trust showing as its settlor, a lawyer in St. Petersburg, Russia, and 3 years of the trust's financial transactions. So intertwining criminality going on here, just even within this story. Not to mention that there's a bank called ES Family Trust that mostly services the porn industry. Porn is not illegal, but, the ES Family Trust. But ES Family Trust cannot operate in the United States. They're in this, you've heard about, places that have their official address in the Caribbean island of Dominica and places similar to that. And remember, back in 2008, Trump had I'm trying to find it here. Okay. So in 2008, Trump had a mansion in Florida, and a Russian guy bought it for 2 times more than Trump paid for it. Trump overpaid for it. I think he paid like 49 or 45 million. And this guy bought it for either 95 or 100 million. There's different numbers that people are saying. But because the Russian guy was getting a divorce, the wife's divorce attorney started to look into this. Like, what's going on here? And he said it was out of the ordinary because of the uniqueness of the property, the speed of the transaction, and the fact that Newman's team never was able to uncover any evidence that Rabolovlev had performed any professional reviews of the property. Okay, so Newman is the lawyer of the wife. Rabolovlev is the guy who bought the mansion from Trump in 2008. If someone is buying a 90-something, this is Newman now, again, the lawyer talking. If someone is buying 90 million something, more than $90 million, more than anyone else has ever paid for a private residence in Florida, significantly more, then one would think they might look around and do a little due diligence or even have an inspection. But it was never found, evidence was never found that Rabolovlev hired experts to weigh in on the property's condition as a residence or its value as a teardown before he bought the place. So there's a whole bunch of extra information in here. Then we go down to the Federal Aviation Administration records reviewed that the Palm Beach Post and other news outlets have tracked Rabolovlev's private plane to cities where Trump has traveled both during his campaign, this is back in 2016, and into his presidency. So this Russian guy is working with Trump during the campaign and during his presidency. And he bought way overpaid. This is what I'm talking about. Money laundering with billionaires where the math doesn't math. We got to take a break. You're listening to AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. We'll be right back.
You might know. Car shopping is made super easy with Rudy Luther Toyota's Luther Direct. It's car shopping without ever leaving your home. Go to RudyLutherToyota.com and click on Luther Direct. Choose any vehicle in Rudy Luther Toyota's current inventory, either new or certified pre-owned, then find out what kind of value you can get for your trade-in, review a payment plan you qualify for, and customize it, and then set up a time for Rudy Luther to drop off your new vehicle and pick up your trade-in. It's that simple. Your new vehicle comes to you without any of the hassle. Check out Luther Direct today at RudyLutherToyota.com.
Get ready to party before Stephanie Miller's Sexy Liberal Tour on April 13th. Join us at AM 950's Sexy Liberal pre-party at On the Rocks, conveniently located above the Nicollet Diner at the end of Nicollet Mall. It's the perfect spot to mingle with your fellow Sexy Liberal fans and some of your favorite AM 950 hosts. Our pre-party is from 4:30 until 7 o'clock. Enjoy the delightful patio at On the Rocks, weather permitting. Admission is just $35 and includes light appetizers and 2 drink tickets. Again, that's our Sexy Liberal pre-party, April 13th from 4:30 till 7 o'clock at On the Rocks. Pre-party tickets are available for purchase at am950radio.com. But that's not all. Let's talk more about the main event. Keep an eye on our Facebook pages for posts about the Sexy Liberal Show. Engage with these posts for a chance to win a pair of tickets to both our pre-party and the main Sexy Liberal Show. Winners will be announced during Matt McNeil's show on Friday, so stay tuned. And if you want to guarantee your spot at the Sexy Liberal Show, secure your tickets in advance by finding the ticket link at am950radio.com.
Step into a world of financial empowerment with the Do Different Better show. I'll be your host, Elaine Rasmussen. Join me Sundays at noon on AM 950 as we do a deep dive into wealth education with topics like investing, real estate, and entrepreneurship. No nonsense, tell it like it is, keeping it 100 for everyday people like you. Tune in to get practical insights to rewrite your financial future. So each Sunday at noon, let's do different better. You can hear Do Different Better anytime on your favorite app. Learn more about me at socialimpactnow.com.
Would you let animals pick your insurance? Do you really need to experience mayhem to get the best rates? Or how about a celebrity quarterback or fake university saving you money? There's a lot of marketing stunts when it comes to insurance, but what you really need is someone looking out for you. Call Array Insurance, and they will work hard to find you the best insurance coverage and rates. So avoid gimmicks and call Cheryl at Array, 763-504-3067, or arrayinsurance.com. Array Insurance, working hard for you.
Let's move safely together, Minnesota. If you're behind the wheel, slow down and watch for people walking, day or night, and stop for people crossing the road. When you're out walking, be alert and look for vehicles in all directions before crossing the road. If you can, cross in a well-lit area. When we work together, everyone gets home safely. This message brought to you by the Minnesota Department of Transportation, the Minnesota Broadcasters Association, and this station.
AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. Todd Mickelson sitting in on the Matt McNeil Show. And you're also listening to us on WCPT 820 in Chicago. Welcome to the show. Okay, enough about Trump crimes. I could go on for weeks about all of this. The details are just endless, and it gets so complicated. But there are investigations. There's a myriad of investigations going on Trump-related things all over the place. I swear, if he stays alive, however long he stays alive, we're going to hear news stories, even if he's not in the news much anymore. After he loses the election and kind of disappears or maybe even gets thrown in prison, we're going to hear more stories about all this crap through all these investigations. Now, here's another unbelievable story. Jay Roshan struggled to lose weight for years, but she felt as if a burden had lifted when she discovered YouTube influencers advocating health at every size, quote unquote, urging her to stop dieting and start listening to her, quote, mental hunger, unquote. She stopped avoiding favorite foods such as cupcakes and Nutella. They made me feel like I was safe eating whatever the hell I wanted, she said. She's 51 years old. A video editor in Wausau, Wisconsin. In 2 months, she regained, that's her occupation, sorry. She regained 50 pounds. As her weight neared 300 pounds, she worried about her health. The videos that Roshan encountered are part of the anti-diet movement, a social media juggernaut that began as an effort to combat weight stigma and an unhealthy obsession with thinness. But now, global food marketers are seeking to cash in on the trend. So originally, they're trying to fight against like fat shaming. They're trying to say, hey, give yourself a break. All right? We'll help you out, but you don't need to weigh 110 pounds. And then, of course, global food marketers see an opportunity. General Mills, right here in the Twin Cities, maker of Cocoa Puffs and Lucky Charms cereals, has launched a multi-pronged campaign that capitalizes on the teachings of the anti-diet movement. An investigation by the Washington Post and The Examination, another paper, a nonprofit newsroom that covers global public health, has found all of this stuff. Good for them. Golden Valley-based General Mills has toured the country touting anti-diet research it claims proves the harms of food shaming. It has showered giveaways on registered dietitians who promote its cereal online with the hashtag derail the shame, and sponsored influencers who promote its sugary snacks. The company has also enlisted a team of lobbyists and pushed back against federal policies that would add health information to food labels. What does this remind you of, Brett?
Yeah, it certainly does sound like him.
Tobacco.
And
That's what I'm saying. The tobacco industry. They fought against having health warnings on cigarettes. And that's now what General Mills and other people are trying to do in this. They're trying to say, don't say Lucky Charms isn't good for you. We want to sell Lucky Charms. Yeah, this is I hope this. We need to use the same tactics that we used to take down the tobacco industry. And by the way, we didn't completely take them down. They're still kicking and they're still doing just fine. But we got it to slow down, and now we're in a way better spot. I rarely even smell cigarettes anymore. Every once in a while, I'll walk out of like where our shop is in the building there, and there will be somebody having a cigarette outside, and it's like, oh my God. I had forgotten how absolutely poignantly pungent that is, especially like years ago playing in bands before they had the smoking bans in bars. Heidi and I would be in a band together, and the next morning we would wake up and our clothes would be, we'd get home at 3 a.m, so we'd just throw our clothes in the corner. And we'd wake up and the whole apartment would smell like cigarettes just from our clothes. We were used to it. It was part of the game. But then that went away, I don't know, maybe 20 or so years ago. And now, for instance, another band I was in recently played at a casino. And smoking is allowed at the casinos because it's on the reservations. And it's like, I could barely be inside the building. And now General Mills is trying to say, no, eat Lucky Charms. They're good for you. They're not dangerous. They're not bad for you. I mean, and they're trying to promote like eating Lucky Charms for dinner. They're trying to get people to eat more Lucky Charms and Cocoa Puffs. Because, I mean, I would probably never eat any of those anymore. But when I was a kid, I would eat like a whole box of Lucky Charms before I went to school.
As a kid, that sounds appealing. Oh, I got to have for dinner?
Yeah, exactly. Right. And, but that's what they're trying to promote. And there are, there are victims like this woman, Jay Roshan of Wausau, Wisconsin. I feel there are some people who just really have a lot of trouble with their weight. And they're trying to work on it. They're trying to be healthy. And now General Mills is sponsoring, no, don't worry about being healthy. So this is just so unbelievable to me. And I hope that it starts to get known more. And I hope that we go after them just like we went after tobacco, because that's what needs to happen. Corporate greed at the peril of people. I mean, what are you doing? Pouring paint in the drinking water just because you don't want to pay to properly dispose of the paint. That's why we have regulations, because of people like you. That's why we have to have laws, because of people who break the laws all the time. Anyway, we're saying goodbye to Chicago. Matt will be back with you on Monday. But if you're listening here in Minnesota, you're still going to get more of this. Todd Mickelson sitting in on the Matt McNeil Show. We'll be right back on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
Greg Bakken here. Like you, I love good, fresh, delicious food. So I want to tell you about this treasure in Roseville called Maverick's Real Roast Beef. Maverick's has the best roast beef sandwiches I've ever had. Made fresh every order. Add fries or onion rings dropped in the fryer when ordered, and you have a winning combination. Maverick's Real Roast Beef has a lot more than roast beef, so check out their website, mavericksbeef.com, or check out their restaurant on Lexington in Roseville.
Hi, this is Laura. Listen to Food Freedom Radio every Saturday at 8 a.m. or anytime via podcast. Our individual health is connected to the health of each other and connected to the health of the earth. We know the problems with the dominant food system: climate change, deadening soils, nitrates in the water, factory farming, injustice, concentration of wealth. How do we both as individuals and as a community step up and support a living food system which honors the earth? Tune to Food Freedom Radio every Saturday at 8 a.m. and remember to support your independent farmers.
It's Brad Friedman, host of the Bradcast, weeknights at 7 on AM 950. KTNF, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
Key Bridges remains and pledged the nation will stand with Baltimore. AP correspondent Sagar Meghani has more.
Aboard Marine One, the president saw what was described as the bridge's mangled mess in one of the nation's busiest shipping lanes, the result of a cargo vessel ramming the bridge, killing 6 construction workers.
The damage is devastating, and our hearts are still breaking.
From the shoreline overlooking the collapsed bridge,
I'm here to say your nation has your back, and I mean it.
his administration's asked Congress to authorize full payment for cleaning up and rebuilding the bridge. Some hardline conservative Republicans are already balking, boosting political implications before November's presidential election. Sagar Meghani, Washington.
An anonymous source revealed that President Biden has urged Egypt and Qatar's leaders to press Hamas for a hostage deal with Israel after pushing Netanyahu for a ceasefire. National Security spokesman John Kirby spoke about the ceasefire earlier today.
Let's get this done. Let's get a deal in place so that we can get a ceasefire for a matter of weeks in place.
In an AP interview, U.S. Geological Survey researcher William Yeck says the East Coast does not often see earthquakes.
I wouldn't say it's unexpected, but they occur very rarely. It's not something that happens very often. On the West Coast, people are used to feeling earthquakes all the time because they're close to a tectonic plate boundary. In regions like this, the earthquakes still can occur, and it's not a complete surprise, but they're just very infrequent. So people just aren't used to feeling earthquakes in those regions.
The earthquake today was a 4.7 magnitude quake and affected possibly over 40 million people in the Northeast. This is AP News. The anniversary of
My brother-in-law died suddenly, and now my sister and her kids have to sell their home. That's why I told my husband we could not put off getting life insurance any longer. An agent offered us a 10-year, $500,000 policy for nearly $50 a month. Then we called SelectQuote. SelectQuote found us identical coverage for only $19 a month, a savings of $369 a year.
Whether you need a $500,000 policy or a $5 million policy, SelectQuote could save you more than 50% on term life insurance.
For your free quote, call SelectQuote at 1-800-452-5050. That's 1-800-452-5050. Or go to SelectQuote.com. 1-800-452-5050. That's 1-800-452-5050.
SelectQuote. We shop. You save.
Details on example rate at SelectQuote.com.
I'm Angela Warner for Warner Stellium. Sometimes appliances break. Other times you spend years wishing they would. We get it. That's why right now we're paying you to upgrade with our trade-in sale. We'll pay you $50 for each appliance you replace. Our in-store specialists take out the guesswork of wondering what's the best one and which one will fit. Then Warner Stellium professional crews will deliver, install, and take your old stuff away, saving you time and money. So outsource your stress and shop family-owned Warner Stellium.
Hi, my name is Katty from Minnesota Recovery Connection.
And I'm Erin with Minnesota Recovery Connection.
We'd like you to listen to our show, Redefining Recovery, a Recovery Revolution. It is on Saturdays at 10 a.m. on AM 950.
On the show, we discuss topics about addiction, understanding substance use disorder, the many pathways to recovery, and finding your personal journey.
Listen to Redefining Recovery Saturdays at 10 a.m. and find our podcast on your favorite app.
I'm having a really hard time lately, and I'm worried no one will understand what I'm going through.
I feel so alone. I wish there was somebody I could talk to.
If you're looking for support, Mental Health Minnesota is here for you, with connections to others who have also struggled with their mental health and can provide support and resources. Services are anonymous, confidential, free of charge, and open 7 days a week. Connect today at mentalhealthmn.org or call 855-HERE-FOR-MN today. Sponsored by Mental Health Minnesota, the Minnesota Broadcasters Association, and this station.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for sunny skies today with a high near 55, tonight clear with a low around 33, and Saturday sunny with a high around 57. And make sure you go on our Facebook page and interact with one of our Sexy Liberal posts. If you do, you'll be entered into our Wheel of Destiny drawing, where you'll have a chance to win a pair of tickets to both our Sexy Liberal pre-party and the Sexy Liberal show. We'll do our Wheel of Destiny drawing today during the 4 o'clock hour. Again, go to AM 950's Facebook page.
Portions of the following program may be pre-recorded.
AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. You're listening to the Matt McNeil Show. I am not Matt McNeil. I'm Todd Mickelson sitting in. Matt will be back on Monday. He is having a long weekend touring some colleges with his daughter. Do we know where, Brett, or are we, again, is that top secret?
Oh, we know where he is. He's in Chicago, and I know that because he was actually on WCPT live on Wednesday night, which was a little weird that he wasn't at AM 950, but he was on WCPT.
Oh, wow.
Studios.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, we have a special guest here, actually 2 guests. I was only expecting one, but we got our old friend Caitlin Cahill came along with Tracy Brazil. That's how I got it right?
Yep, that's good.
Okay. I had to practice that. So Tracy is running for the Minnesota State House in District 45A, which is the district that I live in. And she's going to be a great candidate. I already know it. I hung out with her on caucus night, and we walked around together, introducing her to all the different caucus rooms, which is a kind of a nerve-wracking thing if you're a brand new candidate, but it didn't seem nerve-wracking to you.
No, it was kind of fun. I had liked meeting everybody. It was
Yeah.
my challenge was getting out of the rooms fast enough. As I remember,
Right.
you kept telling me, "You're talking too much. You're
Yeah.
talking too much. 2 minutes, 3
I
minutes.
didn't
you're out of
say
there.
you're talking too much. I just said we have to get to the other rooms.
Talk faster."
Yeah. But yeah, you were getting better and better. This is what happens. I was the candidate. Caitlin was the candidate. By the way, Caitlin ran for actually the same seat in a way in 2020, but then the borders changed, and Caitlin got put into a different whole place. And we were very sad because we're all friends with Caitlin, and now she's in a different district. But Caitlin is helping out Tracy. What are you doing for Tracy?
Well, I just see this district as a key to holding the House and keeping the Senate again in 2 years. And so I'm just helping all the candidates in purple districts doing communications and strategy.
Right. And artwork.
Yes, artwork.
Yes. Caitlin has one of her new Minnesota flag sweatshirts on right now, too, that she designed. So, but Tracy, we're supposed to be talking about you. One thing that I noticed at caucus night, and the reason that each room was taking a long time, is because of the abundance of your background that I am just really impressed with. Can you tell us about that?
Sure. So my background, I think I'll go backwards instead of going chronological. I'm going to go in reverse. So currently, I'm serving on the City Council for Minnetonka Beach. I'm in my second term on City Council, and it's been a fascinating, rewarding experience. I love working with the community in a nonpartisan way. We've been fortunate enough to put in place a couple of new playgrounds. We're working on a lot of infrastructure. We have a new water plant coming in. And I ended up in Minnetonka Beach City Council. I was inspired to get involved there back in about 2018, 2019, when a lot of things were changing in the country. Was inspired to get involved and make a difference where I could. Even in our local community, change was difficult, and we were seeing some polarization. So I was working to try to alleviate that and bring the community together. At the start of my career, I
in college, I'm kind of jumping backwards here.
Well, let me jump in for a moment because this is something that I see as super beneficial in a district like ours that has a lot of Republicans in it and has been traditionally a red district. I mean, when I ran, I had to door knock before I realized that people are not super crazy partisan here. Even the Republicans are pretty reasonable. When they found out I was a small business owner, they're like, "Oh, I'm going to vote for you," and they didn't even care. They didn't even ask me what party I was. And the fact that you have worked with people on both sides, even though city council, you're not labeled as a Democrat or a Republican, it's obvious who the people are usually in the city council. And you have experience working with Republicans as well as Democrats in that capacity. And I think that's really a beneficial thing to have as a credential of running for the state house.
Yeah, it has. It's been great. I would say that in many circumstances, we've turned over the city council a couple of times while I've been on it. And for many of the people on council, the way we work together, I couldn't tell you for sure who was Republican and who was Democrat. I have suspicions, but I have no idea for sure.
Right.
Many of us kind of on one particular issue, somebody might think one thing, and on a different issue, they'll think something else. We're a small community, and so even people who are don't ever want taxes to go up. There are circumstances that we're in right now where in order to fund a new water plant and have safe water, the taxes for the community have to go up.
Yeah.
And so it's a circumstance that people, regardless of where they are on that spectrum, are understanding that sometimes it's necessary.
Yes, I feel like Republicans who go on city council can learn how the world works a little bit. But go on with you said right out of college.
So kind of jumping back to the beginning of my my life as an adult, I majored in psychology. I had a Bachelor of Science in Psychology and Econ. Went on to work in finance from there. I was in New York City for that and learned a ton about finance, decided that I liked finance. I loved working with numbers. I loved understanding how businesses worked and making sure that they were profitable and able to continue to be sustained from that perspective. I wanted to look at things more holistically. So I switched over to strategy consulting. I worked for the Boston Consulting Group, primarily focused on marketing and overall business strategy projects. I did that for a couple of years before going to business school, got my MBA, and then went back into the strategy consulting world, leading client teams, working with people both at the firm as well as at the client organization. And that I loved that role because I was working with companies to optimize their business, was able to use data and analysis and understanding with facts, along with a lot of conversations and a lot of working together with people at all levels of the organization to help come up with solutions that would move their businesses forward. Sometimes from an employee standpoint, sometimes from a product development standpoint, sometimes from an overall line of business perspective. So was very broad. Enjoyed that a lot. Was living in Chicago as my last stop before coming back to Minneapolis. My husband and I decided we wanted a family and that Minnesota would be the best place to do that. I had family here and had the opportunity to come back. I worked for the Sleep Number Company. At that time, it was Select Comfort, but now the Sleep Number Company. And worked on the consumer side of business there. Around the time that my fourth child was about to be born, I decided it was unsustainable to continue to be working the amount that I was working. My husband was traveling a number of days per week. And so I retired from the paid workforce at that point. I started focusing more on volunteer, nonprofit. I was on the board of Milkweed, worked with them for a number of years. Those not familiar with Milkweed, it's nonprofit publishing in Minneapolis, and worked in a number of arenas, a lot closely related to what my kids were doing at the time. I did a lot of volunteering up at the school, a lot of school-related activities, got very involved in their youth sports. They're all swimmers, so I'm on the board of Aquajets, which is the largest club swim organization in Minnesota. And as my kids got older and I had a little bit more time, I then branched out from things close to them and began to focus more on underserved women and children. And I've gotten involved with Minneapolis Crisis Nursery and Jeremiah program. And then that kind of all led to the city council.
Yeah. Give a couple sentences about the Jeremiah program.
I love the Jeremiah program. It is an organization. They've been around for 25 years, was started in Minneapolis. It's really kind of a wraparound service. Their mission is to raise people out of poverty 2 generations at a time. So it serves unwed mothers and their children while the women are going to college. So it's really wrap around everything they need while they're in school. So help with tuition, a place to live, childcare for their children, parenting guidance, wardrobing, help with resumes, help with interview techniques, you name it, while they're going to school. And then as these women graduate, they go on and they start their careers. Many have gone on to be teachers, some are lawyers. And then we say raising people up 2 generations at a time because their children are then raised in a household where they're not in poverty.
Right.
And many of these kids from the first round of Jeremiah graduates are now going to college themselves.
Yeah.
So
breaking the pattern of poverty, basically.
Yeah, it's really exciting.
Yeah.
And these women are so impressive. They are some of the most impressive, hardworking young women you'll come across.
Yeah. Yeah. And when they get a little bit of help, then everybody benefits from it. This is now all of our listeners know why it was so hard to get you to all the rooms in caucus. We should have just had you talk to the whole group at once. But no, seriously, it's difficult. I mean, I'm kind of somebody who likes, and I enjoyed doing it when I was running myself, and Caitlin's really good at this too. Figuring out how to message and figuring out, what are the best things to say. Like when I was doing it for myself, I just came up with, well, my daughter's going to, if I was door knocking, my daughter's going to school here and I'm a small business owner and I grew up here. And, so you need to bring it down to like that amount of time. But in your case, it's really hard to edit stuff out because all that stuff is really beneficial. And, some of it might not even sound all that sexy and interesting to a lot of people, but that's not what we're here for. That's not what you're doing when you're running for the Minnesota State House,
True.
Right. So just that's why I'm just so impressed with the credentials that you have for running for the seat. How did you get started? Now, I was recruiting candidates here for a while, but I hadn't even met you. The first night I met you, I had a conversation with you and was very impressed right away, but you were already thinking of running at that point. So what was the decider for you?
Well, I think I was recruited in a roundabout way, maybe not by you, but Kelly Morrison and her husband, John, have been good friends of mine for quite a long time. And they started talking to me about not only what Kelly's experience had been, but why they thought this was something that I should pursue, and why they thought my background, varied as it is, kind of all would be well served to culminate in serving the state in the House. So I had a lot of conversations with them, had a number of conversations with Caitlin, Kathy, others who've run before. And the more people I talked to, the more I really became convinced that this was something that I wanted to get involved with, and a place where I thought that my background in understanding business and having been a mom raising 4 children,
right,
and being involved on the kind of social service side of things,
and schools
and city government, really would all be intertwined and allow me to use all of those skills together as we work to make Minnesota the best place it can be.
Yes. And also the fact, and I'm sure that Kelly and John recognized this in you, that you're not somebody who's going to stop moving anytime soon. You're always doing things because you're interested and you're motivated to do things for people. And, I did recruit a couple candidates in the past that weren't like that. And it turned out to be a huge problem. We found out halfway through their campaign. So the fact that you've been so involved, and also like one of the first questions I ask, and I'm only asking this because I want people who are listening to be motivated to support you. Another thing that can be a problem with candidates is the time they can spend being the candidate. Sometimes people have young children and they just might not have enough time. This is something that's really sad, because I think regular people should be able to be in the state legislature. People who have a full-time job, who can't afford to not have a full-time job, it's difficult for them as well. And I think that's really sad. But in reality, as we've learned from our friend Kelly, it becomes a full-time job when you become a legislator. And so you are somebody who's in a place in your life where you have the time to do it.
Right. Yeah, I'm on city council, and that takes up some time, but my term on that ends coincidentally with the November election. So, so I'll be rolling off of that. I have 3 children who are now in college, 2 graduating from college, and my youngest is a junior in high school. So sadly, he won't be in the house too much longer.
Yeah.
So I do have more time, and I'm enjoying the process so far. I think the aspect of campaign that I'm enjoying the most is talking to people, hearing what issues are important to them, hearing their takes on legislature that they know about. Sometimes they know it accurately, sometimes not, but always interesting to hear their perspectives and how they see it impacting them. And I really think that listening and hearing and incorporating the views of constituents from all walks is really important, and it's something that I'm really enjoying. I'm meeting people that I hadn't come across before, and just finding it to be really mind-opening and enjoyable to get to know them and get to know their perspectives.
Yeah.
But it does take a lot of time.
Yeah, you're right. It does. We need to take a break, but can you stick around and talk a little longer about that subject itself?
Sure.
Okay. You're listening to AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. Todd Mickelson sitting on the Matt McNeil Show. We'll be back with more Tracy Brazil when we come back.
Get ready to party before Stephanie Miller's Sexy Liberal Tour on April 13th. Join us at AM 950 Sexy Liberal pre-party at On the Rocks, conveniently located above the Nicollet Diner at the end of Nicollet Mall. It's the perfect spot to mingle with your fellow Sexy Liberal fans and some of your favorite AM 950 hosts. Our pre-party is from 4:30 until 7 o'clock. Enjoy the delightful patio at On the Rocks, weather permitting. Admission is just $35 and includes light appetizers and 2 drink tickets. Again, that's our Sexy Liberal pre-party, April 13th from 4:30 till 7 o'clock at On the Rocks. Pre-party tickets are available for purchase at am950radio.com. But that's not all. Let's talk more about the main event. Keep an eye on our Facebook pages for posts about the Sexy Liberal Show. Engage with these posts for a chance to win a pair of tickets to both our pre-party and the main Sexy Liberal Show. Winners will be announced during Matt McNeil's show on Friday, so stay tuned. And if you want to guarantee your spot at the Sexy Liberal Show, secure your tickets in advance by finding the ticket link at am950radio.com.
Join Edina Rides for Education on Saturday, May 4th at Fred Richards Park for a leisurely 5 or 10-mile bike ride. Edina Rides is organized by the Rotary Club of Edina Morningside. Gear up for a day of community spirit. And here's the best part. Your Ride with Edina Rides supports local educational nonprofits like the Edina ABC program. Their goal is to increase the number of well-educated minority students and make it possible for deserving students to reach their full potential. Current student Joyelle, a high school junior, says she's proud to be part of the Edina ABC program. She says it's been a joyous experience, providing her with amazing opportunities from diverse classes to exciting events and meeting wonderful people. Your participation helps sustain organizations like Edina ABC. Registration is easy at edinarides.com. Take advantage of early bird pricing, just $25 for adults and $15 for kids. So gear up and pedal for a purpose on Saturday, May 4th with Edina Rides for Education. More at edinarides.com.
This is Robert Pilot of Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, weekdays at 5 p.m. On our show, you'll hear about Native issues like treaties, protecting Mother Earth, and holding our elected officials accountable. Weekly correspondents like Dr. Stately, State Senator Mary Kunish, Robert Lilligren, and Bob Blake update us with the latest news from Turtle Island. Native issues are human issues, and human issues are Native issues. Listen weekdays at 5 p.m. or watch the show on Native Roots Radio social media accounts. Ho-wah!
Mental health and substance use disorders are complex, stigmatizing, and can be overwhelming issues for families to face. Finding the right diagnosis and care can sometimes feel impossible, especially when you don't know where to start looking. Hazelden Betty Ford understands what your family is going through. Hazelden Betty Ford's patient access team will direct you towards a clear path forward, in network with most insurances. This message is brought to you by Hazelden Betty Ford, the Minnesota Broadcasters Association, and this station.
AM 950, the progressive. Oh my God. What just happened to the music? I was all ready to talk and it sounded like the guy fell off his chair. Did the musician fall off his chair in there?
I think the music video showed that did happen.
Oh, okay. Todd Mickelson sitting in on the Matt McNeil Show. You're listening to AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. And we're talking to candidate for the Minnesota State House in my district, 45A. I can't remember anymore because it just changed. And it's also her district, of course, Tracy Brazil. And Caitlin Cahill's with us here, too. I had her on a couple times, and then she stayed for, didn't you stay for an entire day, like the whole 2 hours one time, didn't you?
It's just too fun with you, Todd.
Right. How do you know it wasn't fun because of you, though? That's what I've been thinking.
I mean, I wasn't elected, so we like to talk.
Yeah, I wasn't. Yeah, Caitlin and I are the ones who ran in the old days when it was impossible for a Democrat to get elected. But when I first ran, the Democratic numbers were, which means if nobody runs a campaign, the Democrats could be expected to get 29% of the vote. And then I brought it up to 38%. I still cried on election night because I felt like my teeth got knocked out of my head. But then the DFL called me some kind of hero. And I was confused about that. And then they explained, well, you brought the numbers up by 9 points in a district where we can't even get people to run all the time. So then fast forward, Kelly Morrison is thinking of running in the B side, but still, I'm talking to her, and she actually had a moment where she's like, I don't know if I want to run because the numbers show that I can't win. And I said, no, don't look at the numbers, because I didn't. If anyone would have explained to me my chances, because I might not have ran either. But then Kelly did decide to run, and she won. First Democrat in our area to ever win. And then this last time, Lauren Bresnahan ran a really great campaign and brought the numbers, and you could say from 10 years earlier, from 29 up to almost 48%. And now we're talking to Tracy Brazil, and you just heard in the last segment how great of a candidate she's going to be. So I think that she's going to be, if I have you on here after after next January, I won't be calling you just a candidate anymore. I'll be calling you my representative. So I'm making her feel super uncomfortable. You can't see her right now, but she's looking like she wishes I would shut the hell up. One of the most biggest issues that people in our district, many districts, but in our district, I would say at any time, back in the old days and now, if you had people list what their most important issues were in our district, I think it would be education. Yeah, do you agree?
I think we're still hearing that. People that I've talked to in our district really value education. We have good schools and they're a priority. And every parent that I've spoken to, every person that I've spoken to in the district talks about how important education is and how much they value our schools, and that it really is the future. Having our kids be well educated is what one of the differentiating factors in Minnesota versus other states,
Right.
and our district in particular has very strong schools.
Yes, I know that you're just getting started. You haven't really door knocked yet, but you have talked to some people. I had the experience of talking even to people who were homeschooling their own children, but told me that they were thinking of supporting me. One did actually support me. She was extremely conservative and called me one day, and we talked for like 20 minutes. She homeschooled her kids, and she said she's thinking of supporting me, even though she's never voted for a Democrat, because of my stance on schools. And she said, even though I homeschool my kids, I know how important it is to have good schools. Have you had any experiences like that?
Yes, I mean, there's in Minnetonka Beach, there's a number of families who send their kids to Orno, but also kids who are sending them out of district or are sending them to private schools. And regardless of where their kids are going, they want the neighborhood schools to be very strong. They want the people around them to be well educated.
Right.
They want great schools for the future. They want great schools because that is part of what helps their property values.
That's
and,
true.
and helps the region.
Yes, that's true. What are other do you have you heard from people in the district so far what they're concerned about issue wise?
I've had a couple of people email me about gun safety. They're concerned about um, guns getting into the wrong hands, or whether their kids are safe in school, and what measures can be taken to make sure that that those people who have guns are the people who are safe with them and keep them safe. So that is something that really has been voluntarily emailed to me by a few different people without any prompting whatsoever. I've had a number of women talk to me as well, that while women currently have the choice in Minnesota, this is something that is not the case in other states, and there is worry that will it remain so in Minnesota. And that's something that's near and dear to my heart. I think that all women have a right to have a say and have a choice in their healthcare choices, and they should be able to make those with their physicians. And this is something that I think is integral, that we make sure that women have choice, and all people have choice as they are making these decisions for themselves. So that's an issue that's come up. A lot of the communities that are in our district are very small and have a lot of infrastructure needs. I alluded to this before, but that is another issue that's come up with people who, not all households are aware of this as much, but people who are on city councils are aware at how expensive having safe water, safe roads is to the communities, and getting funding from the state, getting help with this is really important, because these communities are small, and when you take it down to a per household basis, it gets very expensive. But
Yes.
these really are some of the basic necessities that people count on to have
Right.
clean and safe water.
And we're in a place where most of the infrastructure is at least 50 years old, if not 60 or 70 or more years old, as far as pipes that water run through underground. And this is, of course, the ongoing argument about why we do actually need government sometimes, because if you just live in a house, you can't pay for running water by yourself. You can't have pipes laid out to your house. You need help with that. So and we have a lot of that actually in this district. I know Mound is still having trouble with its pipes and water systems, and we had tons of trouble with it over the years with the sewage system in Mound, and the state needs to, we need a strong legislator at the state level to help us out here. And being on the city council, you know that more than people who are not on the city council. One of the things I found interesting is all of those kind of things that I learned about when I ran, that most people don't think about those things. And I thought, well, wow, I'm learning a lot about just regular infrastructure and people's needs, and how, if we're going to be a community, we need to agree on certain things. Otherwise, we're going to have dirty drinking water, or or whatever you've already learned those things.
Yeah, those are some of the things I didn't expect to learn when I went on to city council. Those aren't the fun or sexy parts of it,
Right.
but they're some of the, more integral, necessary aspects, as you
Yes.
said, that, we need. And in our communities, many of our communities have creeks, woods, green space, lakes, and making sure that those are protected
Yes.
is really important. And some of the infrastructure that we have needs to continue to be improved in a way that that makes it easier for our waterways and to
And-
remain clean.
Yeah, and better maintained. When you keep the maintenance going, it's you don't all of a sudden have a huge, overwhelmingly expensive problem. That's with everything. I've learned that in my small business. I mean, I remember a guy. We have a gravel driveway, and I said, "Okay, so we have ruts here. How much would it cost?" And he said, "Oh, it's going to cost like back then it was like $750." And I'm like, "Okay." And he said, "But if you wait till next year, it's probably going to cost $1,000." So
Right.
yeah.
So true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So and like I said, you've already learned these things. I learned it while I was running. But I'm kind of surprised at how much attention you've been getting already, even though you're just getting up and running. You don't have posters or lawn signs, and you haven't been door knocking yet, but you still have a lot of people contacting you. And I think that's great because people are more engaged now than they were back in our day. And I think the more people get engaged and learn about candidates like you, the better things will go. And so I'm going to say this right in front of you, but I'm not talking to you. So I'm saying this for Tracy. If you're listening to this right now, I think that you've heard how great of a candidate Tracy's going to be and how great of a legislator she would be if she wins, or I should say, when she wins. And the way she can do that is, of course, we all know, to get her message out. Her campaign is going to need some cash money dollars. If you have anything to contribute, or if you know other people who contribute to great candidates, where can they find you to do that, Tracy?
Well, there's a number of ways. Caitlin has been instrumental in helping me make sure that I've got all of the correct avenues. The first place you can go is my website. It is tracy4mnhouse.com. Tracy is EY, so you have to add an E in there. TRACEYFORMNHOSE.com. You can follow me on social media. I have Facebook and Instagram. Both of those are similar to the website, Tracy for MN House. If you feel so inclined to mail a check, you can write a check to Tracy for MN House, and that goes to P.O. Box 34, Minnetonka Beach, Minnesota 55361.
All right. And I have the phone number of every single one of our listeners, so I'll make sure and text that. I'm totally losing. I had a really good question and now I totally lost it. But I should let you go. We're overdue for a break, and I know I've kept you here longer than you agreed to be here, and I know you're busy, and so are you, Caitlin, right? So, Caitlin, do you have anything final to say?
It's going to be a really important election. We're lucky in our district that we have really high turnout. So it's going to be really important that the people who are turning out know about the candidate. So we'd appreciate everyone's help getting the message out.
Exactly. What about you, Tracy? What's your final words?
I appreciate you listening today. Appreciate you getting to know me a little bit. And I look forward to getting to know all of you, and hope that I earn your support at the voting box if you're in my district, and your support to help get the word out if you are or are not in my district.
All right. Sounds great. Thank you so much for showing up, Tracy, and agreeing to be on the radio. I know it can be a daunting, scary thing. You've never done anything like this before, right?
I have not. It was really fun, though. Thanks,
Yeah.
Todd. I appreciate it.
You did a great job.
Thank you.
So let's take an overdue break. You're listening to AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. Todd Mickelson sitting in on the Matt McNeil Show. We'll be right back.
End-of-life decisions are not easy to make. Hi, I'm Mary T. of Mary T. Hospice Care. It's important to make sure that this difficult time is meaningful and comforting to you and your loved ones. Our hospice team provides an individualized program of physical, emotional, spiritual, and practical care so your loved one is comfortable and not in pain. At Mary T. Hospice, we understand that choosing the right hospice care provider can be overwhelming, but we're here to assist you. Learn more today at marytinc.com.
Spot on, nice fish. Nice walleye. Look at that.
Beautiful.
Minnesota gold right there.
This is the first restaurant in the world that strictly is decolonized menu. All right, let's try the soup. Oh man, that's good. So earthy and mushroomy.
Where's the seals?
It looks like the ocean.
It's not that cold. It is that wet though.
What will your Minnesota travel story be? Discover what makes Minnesota the star of the North at exploreminnesota.com.
Sponsored by Explore Minnesota Tourism, aired by the Minnesota Broadcasters Association and this station.
This is Chad, owner of AM 950. After the hailstorm last year, we had a number of people stop by the station letting us know we had damage. That's when I called our trusted contractor, Snap Construction. Turns out we didn't have any damage and our roof was still in good health. Ryan, is it common to hear you have damage when you don't?
Chad, this can happen more times than not. At Snap Construction, we'll give you a thorough assessment and let you know the condition of your roof. We are trusted by a number of insurance agents in the metro to give them just that, an honest assessment. Last year's storm is just starting to reveal damage on homes that didn't show damage last year. If you were in the path of a storm and were denied, it's worth an extra look. Freezing, thawing conditions and spring rains will wash away the damaged granules that are covering up damage from last year's storm.
Call Snap Construction, arguably the most well-reviewed exterior contractor in the metro area, at 612-333-SNAP or find them online at snapconstruction.com.
Now at Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces, the Morso wood stoves qualify for a 30% tax credit.
Morso wood stoves earned the Nordic Swan Eco Label, Europe's most rigorous environmental standard. Here in the U.S., these Morso wood stoves qualify for the 30% federal tax credit. This is a credit of up to $2,000 off your income tax when you install efficient wood heating. Morso wood stoves are known for elegant Danish design. Made of quality cast iron, this is furniture that radiates heat and warmth. Morso brings the tradition of wood heating into the 21st century.
Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces has been selling wood-burning products since 1977. Morso is an important part of our diverse selection of fireplace products. We want to make fire work for you. Let us show you how Morso wood-burning stoves can work in your home.
Get in touch with the folks at Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces. They are the chimney and installation experts. Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces has over 35 working wood, gas, and electric units on display at the corner of East Franklin and Riverside Avenue in Minneapolis.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for sunny skies today with a high near 55, tonight clear with a low around 33, and Saturday sunny with a high around 57. And make sure you go on our Facebook page and interact with one of our Sexy Liberal posts. If you do, you'll be entered into our Wheel of Destiny drawing, where you'll have a chance to win a pair of tickets to both our Sexy Liberal pre-party and the Sexy Liberal show. We'll do our Wheel of Destiny drawing today during the 4 o'clock hour. Again, go to AM 950's Facebook page.
AM 950, the Progressive Voice of Minnesota. Todd Mickelson sitting in on the Matt McNeil Show. Music made me feel like I had to talk really fast. That's me on the drums, and again, Brett on the bass guitar, but not with his super cool pedal.
No, not this time.
Right. So you've been hearing about the Sexy Liberal show. It is on tour. Stephanie Miller is the main person, but she also is bringing with her John Fugelsang, Hal Sparks, Cliff Schechter, and the comedy duo Frangela. And you can get tickets at am950radio.com. Or if you have interacted with a Sexy Liberal Facebook post, you're going to be on the wheel. And we're going to spin that wheel right now.
Should we do the first spin? Let's
Yes.
find out that first winner. We got 7 of them overall.
7 spins. We're going to give away 7 pairs. So if you've interacted with Facebook, you just might be on the wheel and you just might win some tickets. Spin it.
Yeah, you're going to get both tickets to the pre-party and the show.
Oh,
Quite a
that's right.
deal.
That's right. Also includes the pre-party going on from 4:30 to 7 on the Rocks on the Nicollet Mall in Minneapolis. And normally it would cost $35, but if you win on this spin, you get to go for free. So spin the wheel.
Let's see our first winner. I don't
All
have
right.
any good sound effects today, so we'll have to just pretend they're there or something.
Should I
like
just?
that.
I'll do it.
Here we go. Oh, is it going to stay there?
Oh, Susan Vikstrom. Susan Vikstrom, you've just won yourself 2 pairs of tickets to both the liberal pre-party, the sexy liberal pre-party, and the sexy liberal show. Congratulations to Susan. Time for another spin, though, Brett.
Let's do it. I'll shuffle the names again one more time because we got to be super fair with this, too.
Right.
Fitting all those. All right. Spin number 2. Here we go.
Deborah Strage. I hope I'm saying your name right. Deborah, you've just won yourself a pair of tickets to the Sexy Liberal show and pre-party. Congratulations to Deborah. We don't have too much time to celebrate, though, Deborah. We got to go on to the next spin.
I know we got 5 more of these to go. Here we go. Number 3.
Dave Milne or Milne. 2 tickets to the Sexy Liberal show and pre-party. Congratulations to Dave. Who is our next winner?
Let's find out. We'll shuffle the names, and here we go.
Luann Schmitz, you've just won yourself a pair of tickets to the Sexy Liberal show and pre-party. Congratulations to Luann. Who is our next winner, Brett?
All right, here we go.
Shuffle. Got to shuffle the names.
Shuffle the names. All right, here we go. Winner number 5. Who we got?
Bill Taylor just won 2 tickets to the Sexy Liberal show and pre-party. Congratulations to Bill. How many more do we got?
2 more.
2 more. Who's going to be the winner? If you have interacted with a Sexy Liberal Facebook post on AM 950's Facebook page, you're on the wheel. Who's going to win it?
Hold on. We got to remove one name on there from someone that already won. We can't have you win twice on there.
Right.
There we go. Let's try it again. Spin number 6. I'm already losing. Here we go.
David Knapp. You've just won yourself 2 tickets to the Sexy Liberal show and pre-party.
All right.
Congratulations, David. It seems like we should have some music.
I know we do need to have some music here.
Too late now.
We got to do that next time. Well, we are doing another spin next week as a hit, but
yeah,
one more to go today.
Get production going when I'm not here anymore. Fine.
All right, here we go. Last spin, your last chance to win, at least for today. Wait, hold on. We got to spin.
Hey,
that
he
again.
already won.
Hey, David's already on there.
We got to take him off. Oh, Mary Kay.
Compensated. There we go.
Mary Kay Welter. You've just won yourself a pair of tickets to the Sexy Liberal show and pre-party.
This wheel must be pixel perfect. I thought I was with you. I was thinking David was going to win again.
Yeah.
No, it is Mary Kay Welter. So congratulations.
Congratulations, Mary Kay. And we'll see you at the pre-party at 4:30 on the Rocks next Saturday night. Not tomorrow, but next Saturday, April 13th. And then you're going to the Sexy Liberal show afterwards at the Pantages Theater. And by the way, if you didn't just win a pair of tickets, you can purchase tickets at am950radio.com. And so go there and get your Sexy Liberal tickets. I think we're going to have to take another break, right? Right, Brett?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, we're going to take a break. You're listening to AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. Todd Mickelson sitting in on the Matt McNeil Show. We'll be right back.
Hey, it's Patrick for Zero Res. I'm going to get right into it. You should call Zero Res to beat the spring cleaning rush with big savings and priority booking by calling our cleaning heroes today. You should think about the dust, dander, and bacteria that's been breeding in your carpet all winter long with nowhere to go. And don't forget about your air ducts. If they're dirty, your air quality suffers. Indoor air quality is an issue year-round, but all that pollen is getting ready to come out of hibernation and into your home. This month, get 3 rooms Zero Resified starting at just $129 and take $75 off any air duct cleaning. You owe it to yourself and your family to breathe happy, healthy, and clean. Call 9520-RES or go to ZeroResMinnesota.com and ask for the AM 950 special. Zero Res, backward or forward, spells the same.
The 2024 Consumer Reports Best Vehicle Edition is out, and once again, Toyotas from Rudy Luther Toyota dominate the field. 4 Toyota models make their top picks for 2024, the Prius, the Camry Hybrid Prime, the RAV4 Prime, and the Highlander Hybrid. Consumer Reports recommends all the following Toyotas: the Prius Prime, the Corolla Hybrid, the Camry Hybrid, the Sienna, the Corolla Cross Hybrid, the RAV4 Hybrid, the RAV4 Prime, the Highlander, and the Highlander Hybrid. See for yourself. Visit Rudy Luther Toyota and test drive one today, 394 and 169 in Golden Valley.
Hi, this is Frank Brown, owner of Minuteman Press Uptown, Minnesota's only minority-owned union printing company. We have big news. We've moved to North Minneapolis.
Why did you move?
As a Black business owner, I wanted to be part of the North Minneapolis community to provide jobs.
Are there other reasons you moved there?
We have bigger new equipment and outgrew the other location.
What kind of new equipment do you have?
We have new equipment that allows us to print quality signage and banners. We also have a new inkjet printer, printing larger sheets, improving production efficiencies.
Is the new location easy to find?
It's not only easy to find, it's more convenient with plenty of parking. We are now located on Washington Avenue North off I-94 and the Dowling exit.
So do you still print everything?
We print more than everything. We have over 175 Google reviews with a 5-star rating. Call 612-870-0777 or visit mpuptown.com. That's mpuptown.com. We print everything.
Step into a world of financial empowerment with the Do Different Better show. I'll be your host, Elaine Rasmussen. Join me Sundays at noon on AM 950 as we do a deep dive into wealth education with topics like investing, real estate, and entrepreneurship. No nonsense, tell it like it is, keeping it 100 for everyday people like you. Tune in to get practical insights to rewrite your financial future. So each Sunday at noon, let's do different better. You can hear Do Different Better anytime on your favorite app. Learn more about me at socialimpactnow.com.
If all of the kings had their queens on the throne, we would pop champagne and raise a toast to all of the queens who are fighting alone, baby.
AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. Todd Mickelson sitting in on the Matt McNeil show for one more segment, and then Matt is back on Monday at 3 here in Minneapolis and St. Paul, and at 9 next Monday night in Chicago. And so I've had a blast sitting in for Matt again, and just as I get up to speed and get my legs under me again, I'm cut off at the knees.
That's how it always works. Yeah, you get comfortable, and then you're out of here now.
Yeah. I'm totally abused by this radio station, but I like it. So you might remember on this radio station, it was, I want to say about a year and a half ago. I know it was summertime, I think. Anyway, it was about a year and a half ago, maybe even 2 years or so ago. I had some guests on talking about the I-94 space between Minneapolis and St. Paul. When they first told me about it, I thought, that's crazy. I mean, it sounds wonderful, but it's never going to happen. And then I read about it, and it has happened in other cities. And they came in here, and it was a very interesting segment. The plans are really super interesting. And they were working on it, and it's becoming a serious thing. Well, that was a year and a half or 2 years ago, and now just yesterday it made the front page of the Star Tribune. I want to read a little bit from it. As state transportation planners mull the future of Interstate 94 in the Twin Cities, a group that champions transportation not centered on cars wants to convert a 7.5-mile stretch of the freeway between downtown Minneapolis and downtown St. Paul with a street-level thoroughfare. A recent report by Our Streets Minneapolis said replacing the freeway won't have a negative effect on traffic as motorists find other routes for what are mostly short trips. But a thoroughfare will be better economically, environmentally for sure, and socially for neighborhoods, again for sure, long scarred by the freeway, cutting right through. Of course, they picked neighborhoods of color to break up and cut through back in the old days. But anyway, this is a quote from Alex Burns of Our Streets. He says, I think that as we bring more information to the table about the economic benefits of this and the environmental benefits and just the quality of life and sense of place benefits, more and more people are getting excited. And they're seeing this as an idea that should be legitimately considered. I know I was convinced back when I talked. I can't remember one of the people was my sister-in-law. I remember her. I just can't remember the name of the other person. It might have been Alex Burns that I had on the radio. I should have looked it up. Oh, I always come so unprepared. I should have looked it up before I went on the air, going back into the archives. But yeah, I was really excited about it back then. I couldn't believe it. I was like, wow. And this has happened in some other cities. I'm going to go on with the article here. Our Streets officials hope that their report, called Reimagining I-94, will sway planners with the Minnesota Department of Transportation who are in the midst of their own Rethinking I-94 project. The state project is evaluating 10 ways of moving forward with an aging and deteriorating stretch of freeway that, oh my God, I'm reading the actual paper and I got to find the page. Oh my God.
Oh, one of those things, continuing page.
Yeah,
C6
and again, I sticking with my totally not ready to go back on microphone. Okay, it was built 50 to 60 years ago and is widely regarded as hurting the inner city neighborhoods split by the freeway's miles-long stretch. 2 of the 10 MnDOT alternatives would replace the freeway with a ground-level boulevard that includes dedicated bus lanes and bike lanes. Other options being considered include maintaining the existing stretch of freeway. No, we don't want to do that. Combination of local access roadway with a narrower freeway. That's one idea. The Our Streets report. Yeah, let's do that one. It lists the Tool Design Group, Visible City, and Smart Mobility as contributors. Comes down clearly on the replace side. Officials say they used MnDOT traffic, speed, and congestion data in their planning. The report concluded that highway removal has been a positive step in several other cities, including Rochester, New York, Oakland, California, and Milwaukee. Those are big cities. We're not talking Rochester, Minnesota. We're talking Rochester, New York. Oakland, California, that's insane. These types of plans are already working in large cities. Going on with this, number one, traffic would not be dramatically affected. Most trips on I-94 are short and local, using the freeway only for short distances. The most common average trip duration along this stretch of I-94 is 5 minutes, compared with 15 minutes and 20 minutes for I-494 and 694. Respectively, most motorists would find other routes through neighborhoods. The models the state is using to study alternatives were developed 40 years ago and are not reliable and should not be used to predict congestion and travel times. The reimagining authors say that the state methodology is skewed toward freeways, definitely. I'm rooting for this. I'm rooting huge for this. This would be a beautiful thing to have happen. If you have access to a Star Tribune newspaper, you can see some drawings right on the front page. You can see a reimagining, and it looks beautiful. I think it would be very cool. Brett, you're a biker. This would be perfect for you.
I would certainly take advantage of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd like to look a little more into that because, yeah, it certainly seems like that would have a major impact on traffic. But if they've done some studies showing it wouldn't.
And environmentally.
Yeah, that's certainly a factor too. Yeah.
I mean, they even talk about the rubber that gets left on the road from tires and stuff. It's just, it's filthy. and people breathing, even that, along with, of course, exhaust. Anyway, I've had a blast sitting in for Matt McNeil for the last few days. Thank you, Brett. Had a lot of fun with you. Good to see you again.
Absolutely. Hopefully not again in too long. Yeah.
Yeah, right. So you've been listening to AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. I've been Todd Mickelson sitting in for Matt McNeil. Matt will be back on Monday, and I hope to talk to you soon.
I'm the host of Exploring Sovereignty with Elizabeth. In this radio show and podcast, we have conversations with heart-centered thought leaders to explore their pathway to becoming free, and we will shine a light